What's up, guys, and welcome back to Gabe Miller Music. Today I'm going to show you how to make kind of a Dodge and Fuski, Barely Alive style bass hit. And that is from the drop of my latest track, Bad Robot. So it's this bass right here. So to start off, this is actually a couple of layers. This guy is doing most of the heavy lifting. And then these two elements are layered on top of that. This is kind of a plunk with a phaser on it. And this one is to kind of define what the note is a bit more for the listener. But we're going to spend most of our time on this one right here. So within Serum, I've got a custom wavetable. This is, I believe, from a Virtual Riot sample from his sample pack. So a lot of it's kind of not usable the way I've set it up, but let's see, I've got bend minus on it a little bit, being modulated by this, and I've got the wavetable position being moved through all the way, like that. But the wavetable is kind of irrelevant here. Really where the sound comes from is the effects, the sub, and the way the attack is kind of shaped. And so let's turn off the sub so I can show you what I mean. Alright, so for the sub, I've got this envelope controlling its attack, so it has a really sharp attack, quickly drops down, and it has a little bit of sustain, so that sub rings out a bit. So if I turn that all the way to 0, that's too much, and you can also hear that lets that tail of that go. So around here, around there ended up being good to kind of rein it in and keep it a pluck. But as you can see, there's no low cut on here. I didn't actually pluck it. I just controlled the attack and release to make it a very short, stabby sound. Also, in the area of controlling attack and release, I have this LFO set to being an envelope, modulating the volume so it starts off at full and quickly drops down so the sub can ring out a little bit longer than the actual wavetable bass part. But then the reason that the wavetable part still rings out in that kind of really metallic way is the reverb. You can hear the difference. That's like the biggest, most important part of the sound is that reverb. So let me take off all the processing real quick and then add it back in. Kind of a mess. EQ. Dimension expander. Give some width, distortion. Flanger. Filter. This one's important. This is a high pass filter, so basically it's rolling off low end very quickly and aggressively. So that's where you get that wit 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 sound from. That's what's doing that. And then finally the reverb. And so I kind of stumbled upon this by accident while just playing around with it. I discovered that if you have your size all the way down, pretty much everything all the way down really, and then set to plate, you get this kind of metallic sound out of it. Like if I up it, it sounds like a normal reverb. But if I take the size all the way down, it sounds less like a reverb and more just like a part of the bass. So then when you let it go really fast, that's where you get your sound. So that is basically how the sound's built, and then you can have lots of variations on this. So for this over here, I basically just moved all the MIDI down an octave and then turned the sub up an octave so that the sub is hitting in the exact same place, but the wavetable part is lower. Like that. So you get this variation where it bounces back and forth between higher and lower. And then also layered with that, just to keep the variation even more interesting, I also layered in this this screech right here. This is processed much in the same way as the plunk, except now it's being FM'd by this triangle wave in the sub. And then the notes are kept short. So you lay them together, that once again keeps it interesting, gives it some variation. And then finally, on top of all of that, I have LFO tool to pump it, to keep it out of the way of the kick. Some pretty extreme EQ because I'm not the greatest sound designer, and so the sound ended up getting really messy up here. And so I wanted to tame that and also boost some high end to keep it really sharp, a harmonic exciter, and then a limiter because it was clipping a little bit. So in the description, I'm going to put links to downloads for the 2 main patches. This guy right here and the screech. And that's there for you to use however you want. If you just want to use it as is in a song, or if you want to tweak it a bit, or reverse engineer it, or just take the wavetable, any of those are completely fine. Alrighty, that is it for today. Be sure to drop a thumbs up if you liked this video, and subscribe if you have not already. I try to have new music and new making of videos out approximately every 2 weeks. For my next song and making of videos, I'm going to do a progressive house track, and I'm going to talk about some of the layering and arrangement that goes into a progressive house track. So, should be a lot of fun, so be sure to stick around for that. And until then, I'll see you guys next time. Peace.